What can connect the fates of a lonely ranger and an injured she-wolf? Sometimes the most incredible stories of friendship begin with a simple act of kindness. Get ready to hear an incredible tale that will melt your heart and make you believe in the wonders of nature. The cold wind howled through the tree branches, drowning out the quiet footsteps of a lone traveler. Alex walked through the snow-covered forest, barely making out the path in the twilight. He was an experienced tracker and ranger, but even he found it difficult to navigate in such a blizzard. Suddenly, a strange sound caught his attention. It wasn't the howling of the wind, but a soft whimper coming from somewhere to his left. Alex became alert. Wolves roamed these forests, and an encounter with them boded nothing good. But something in this sound made him veer off the path. Pushing through the bushes, Alex came out into a small clearing. What he saw made him freeze in place. A large grey she-wolf lay on the snow. Her side was covered in blood, and her hind leg was unnaturally twisted. 3 tiny wolf cubs huddled next to her, whimpering pitifully. The she-wolf raised her head and looked at the human. There was no fear or aggression in her amber eyes, only pain and desperation. She growled weakly, trying to protect her cubs, but she clearly had no strength left. Alex slowly approached, taking a first aid kit out of his backpack. He knew it was madness to try to help a wild predator, but something in the she-wolf's eyes wouldn't let him just walk away. "Easy, girl," he said softly, carefully extending his hand. "I won't hurt you." The she-wolf tensed but didn't try to bite. She seemed to understand that this was her only chance to survive and save her cubs. Examining the wound, Alex saw that a bullet was lodged in the she-wolf's side. Apparently, poachers had been hunting her. The wound was serious but not fatal if treated. Alex spent the next few hours cleaning the she-wolf's wound and applying a bandage. He also set the broken leg, applying a makeshift splint. All this time, the she-wolf didn't move, only occasionally whimpering softly in pain. The cubs huddled close to their mother, curiously watching the strange 2-legged creature. After finishing the bandaging, Alex pondered. Leaving the injured she-wolf and cubs here was not an option. They wouldn't survive. But he couldn't take them with him either. In the end, Alex decided to build a temporary shelter. He constructed a small lean-to from branches and lined it with pine boughs. Then he carefully moved the she-wolf and cubs into it. Taking the remaining food from his backpack, he left it near the makeshift den. "I'll be back tomorrow," Alex said, looking into the she-wolf's intelligent eyes. "Try to hang on until then." The she-wolf whimpered softly, as if in agreement. The next day, Alex returned with food and medicine. To his surprise, the she-wolf was alive and even somewhat stronger. She allowed him to change her bandage and feed the cubs. Thus began an amazing friendship between man and wolf. Every day, Alex came to the forest, bringing food and medicine. The she-wolf, whom he named Luna, gradually got used to him. She no longer growled when he approached, but greeted him with a soft whimper. The cubs also became accustomed to the human. They played happily, tumbling in the snow, and even tried to chew on his shoelaces. Alex watched their antics with a smile, feeling his heart thaw. Several weeks passed. Luna's wound had almost healed, and she could walk, though with a limp. Alex knew that soon he would have to say goodbye to this unusual family. He was saddened by this thought. He had grown attached to the she-wolf and her cubs. One day, upon arriving at the clearing, Alex didn't find the wolves in the shelter. His heart sank. Had they left without even saying goodbye? But then he heard a familiar whimper and turned around. Luna stood at the edge of the clearing, with the cubs frolicking beside her. She looked at Alex, as if inviting him to follow. The man smiled and went after the unusual family. They walked for about an hour. Luna confidently led Alex through the forest, occasionally turning back as if checking if he was following. Finally, they came to a small cave on a hillside. Alex was surprised to see that a cozy den had already been set up inside the cave. Luna led the cubs inside and looked at the human. Gratitude could be read in her eyes. "You've found a new home," Alex smiled. "I'm happy for you, girl." He understood that it was time to say goodbye. Luna seemed to feel it too. She approached the man and nuzzled his palm with her nose. Alex gently stroked her head. "Take care of yourself and the little ones," he said quietly. "I'll miss you." Luna whimpered softly, as if responding. Then she moved back to the cubs, indicating that it was time for Alex to leave. With a heavy heart, the man left the cave. Looking back one last time, he saw Luna standing at the entrance, watching him go. This image remained in his memory forever. A year passed. Alex continued to work as a ranger, protecting the forest and its inhabitants. He often thought about Luna and her cubs, wondering how their lives had turned out. One autumn evening, he was patrolling a remote area of the forest. Suddenly, he heard a sound that sent shivers down his spine. It was a wolf's howl, but not threatening, rather calling. Alex followed the sound and came out into a small clearing. There, in the rays of the setting sun, stood Luna. She had grown and become stronger, transforming into a beautiful, powerful she-wolf. Beside her were her grown cubs, now almost adult wolves. Luna looked at Alex, and in her eyes he saw recognition. She remembered him. The she-wolf whimpered softly, taking a step forward. Alex slowly approached, extending his hand. Luna nuzzled it with her nose, just as she had done a year ago. Tears welled up in the man's eyes. "Hello, girl," he whispered. "I'm so glad to see you." For several minutes they simply stood side by side, man and wolf, bound by an amazing friendship. Then Luna moved back to her children. She looked at Alex once more, as if saying goodbye, and disappeared into the forest with her pack. Alex stood in the clearing for a long time, watching them go. He knew he would never see Luna again, but the memories of how he saved her and her cubs remained in his heart forever. Many years passed. Alex grew old and retired, but he still lived near the forest that had become his home. One cold winter night, he was awakened by a wolf's howl. It came from somewhere deep in the forest. Alex went out onto the porch and listened. In this howl, he heard something familiar. Following a sudden impulse, the old man put on his jacket and went into the forest. He walked, not knowing where, guided only by the sounds of the wolf chorus. Finally, he came out into a familiar clearing, the very one where he had found the injured Luna many years ago. In the center of the clearing, illuminated by moonlight, lay an old grey she-wolf. A whole pack gathered around her, her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Alex recognized her immediately. Despite the years that had passed, Luna's eyes remained the same, wise and kind. She wagged her tail weakly upon seeing her old friend. The wolves parted, letting the human through. Alex knelt beside Luna and placed his hand on her head. He understood that she had come here to die where her new life had once begun. "You've lived a good life, girl," Alex said quietly, stroking the she-wolf's grey muzzle. "I'm proud of you." Luna licked his hand one last time and closed her eyes. Her breathing became increasingly shallow until it stopped altogether. Alex sat beside her, not holding back his tears. The wolves around began to howl, saying goodbye to their mother and grandmother. This mournful chorus echoed through the night forest. Alex also raised his head and howled with them, paying tribute to his faithful friend. As the first rays of sun lit up the clearing, the wolves began to disperse. Before leaving, each of them approached Alex and gently touched his hand with their nose, as if thanking him for saving their mother long ago. Alex was left alone in the clearing. He buried Luna under the old pine tree where he had first found her. On the grave, he placed a small stone on which he carved a simple inscription, "Luna, faithful friend and loving mother." Leaving the clearing, the old man heard a distant wolf howl. He smiled through his tears, knowing that a part of Luna would always live in this forest, in her children and grandchildren. Returning home, Alex sat down at the table and began to write. He decided that Luna's story should be told, a story of how kindness and compassion can overcome any boundaries, even between man and wild beast. Finishing the manuscript, Alex looked out the window. A full moon shone in the sky, reminding him of his amazing friend. He smiled, feeling that Luna would always be near, in his heart and in his memories. This story about Luna the she-wolf and Alex the human became a legend in those parts. It was told around campfires, passed down from generation to generation. It taught people kindness, compassion, and respect for nature. Did you enjoy this story? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to not miss new releases. See you soon.